In the shadowed recesses of medieval Europe, where superstition was law and love was a dangerous game, there brewed a dark secret that defied both reason and mercy: the fabled love potions. These were not mere concoctions of sweet scents or innocent charms, but sinister brews whispered to ignite passion and command hearts. Yet, what none dared say aloud was that these potions often came cloaked in death, a death that crept slowly, agonizingly, through the veins of those who dared drink them. Tonight, we unraveled the grim tale of those who sought love as embrace, only to be ensnared in a macabre dance with agony and demise. Our story begins in the dimly lit chambers of Lady Isolde de Voyer, a noblewoman whose beauty was both a blessing and a curse. Isolde's heart was shackled by an arranged marriage to a man she neither loved nor desired, a cruel baron known for his coldness and brutality. Desperation gripped her soul, whispering promises of forbidden knowledge she had heard from the murmurs of wandering apothecaries and soothsayers, the ancient arts of alchemy and potion-making that could bend love's will. Her yearning to escape the chains of her loveless marriage became an obsession, and in her quest, she crossed paths with the enigmatic and feared healer, Brother Malachi. Malachi was a man shrouded in contradictions, a cleric by day, an alchemist by night, a man whose faith clashed with the arcane secrets he guarded. His hands bore the stains of herbs and blood alike, and his eyes held a hollow depth that told of inner torment and unspoken sins. The villagers whispered that he dabbled in forbidden arts, weaving potions from graveyard herbs and the whispered prayers of the damned. It was to him that Isolde turned, offering gold and her desperate plea for a potion that would make her husband see her as the only woman in the world. In the dim candlelight of his hidden laboratory, Malachi mixed powders of deadly nightshade, extracts of belladonna's lethal bloom, and the venomous tears of the mandrake root. The air grew thick with a heady, intoxicating scent that promised ecstasy but reeked of poison. He warned Isolde that the potion was a double-edged blade. While it could ensnare her husband's affections, it also bore the risk of slow madness and unbearable pain. But to Isolde, blinded by hope, the risks were whispers lost to the roar of her desperation. The first sip was a promise of sweet intoxication. The baron's eyes brightened, his coldness thawed, and for a fleeting moment, Isolde believed she had outwitted fate itself. But as days passed, the poison festered within his veins, unraveling his sanity piece by agonizing piece. His nights became racked with fevered hallucinations, his skin mottled with the telltale signs of poisoning, and soon the man who was once a stoic lord became a creature tormented beyond the veil of human endurance. Around them, whispers swelled into accusations. Was this a curse, a divine punishment? The villagers, gripped by fear and superstition, turned their gaze to Isolde, branding her a witch, a poisoner, a woman who consorted with the devil himself. Brother Malachi vanished into the night, leaving behind only the echoes of his forbidden knowledge and the lingering scent of death. Yet, the tale does not end here. The love potions were more than just the folly of a desperate noblewoman. They were part of a darker tapestry woven through centuries, a clandestine dance between desire and destruction, where each sip was a wager with the abyss, where love and death entwined in an eternal embrace. As the baron's agony crescendoed, Isolde's world crumbled beneath her. She had sought to seize love, only to unleash a plague of pain that devoured everything she held dear. The bitter lessons of the medieval love potions echo through time, a stark reminder that in those dark ages, the quest for affection was a perilous journey, fraught with poison and perdition. The baron's descent into torment was only the beginning of a darker saga, one that seeped into every corner of Lady Isolde's existence, poisoning not only her husband's flesh, but the very air of the castle itself. The walls, once echoing with cold silence, now trembled beneath whispered curses and the faintest moan of suffering that seemed to seep from the stones like an ancient lament. Each night, the baron's fevered visions grew more grotesque, his mind unraveling into a labyrinth of horror. His once proud stature became a mere silhouette against flickering candlelight, his eyes wild with the twin fires of pain and madness. At times, he would shriek in tongues unknown, clawing at his skin as though trying to peel away the poison that gnawed from within. Servants dared not enter his chamber, and even the bravest knights turned pale at the hollow echoes of his agony. Isolde, now trapped in a gilded cage of her own making, wrestled with a storm of emotions. guilt, terror, and annoying dread that the love she sought had become a spectre, a cruel phantom, mocking her every waking moment. Yet, as the Baron's condition worsened, whispers in the court grew louder, accusing her of witchcraft, poisoning, and treachery. The same poison that brought the Baron to ruin now seeped into Isolde's reputation, staining her like spilled blood on white linen. Brother Malachi's name became a curse, a shadow whispered by trembling lips. Rumors spread like wildfire, painting him as a sorcerer who trafficked in the blackest magic, stitching death into his elixirs with a twisted devotion. Some said he was once a monk who had fallen from grace, while others believed him a conjurer in league with demons, a harbinger of plague and pestilence. His laboratory was said to be hidden in the depths of the forest, a den of forbidden knowledge where the laws of God were subverted by the alchemy of pain. Yet, beneath the fear and superstition lay a darker truth. The love potions were not merely curses cast in bottles, but chemical nightmares born from crude medieval science, twisted by desperate minds seeking power over the human heart. The deadly nightshade, belladonna, and mandrake were no mere herbs but poisons that altered perception, induced hallucinations, and tore at the nerves like invisible spiders weaving webs of madness. Isolde's own nights became haunted by shadows, where the spectre of her husband's suffering clawed at her conscience. In fevered dreams, she saw herself drowning in a sea of black ink, each drop a memory of the choices that led to ruin. Her heart, once filled with the naive hope of escape, was now a tomb sealed by regret and despair. The court's intrigue deepened as rival nobles seized upon Isolde's downfall, whispering promises of justice and vengeance. The bishop, a man as cold and unyielding as the stone cathedrals he ruled, pronounced her a heretic and an instrument of the devil. Trials were convened, and the shadow of the Inquisition stretched long and dark across the land. The world had become a stage where love was weaponized, and those who wielded it were destined to burn in the fires of suspicion and fear. Amidst the turmoil, the story of the love potions spread beyond the castle walls, carried by trembling voices into the villages and towns, where peasants spoke of enchantments that bound souls and curses that could twist the will. Mothers warned their daughters to beware the allure of the apothecary's vials, and men eyed strangers with growing mistrust, fearing the poison of passion disguised as love. But even as the world recoiled in horror, there were those who coveted the dark secrets of Malachi's craft. Alchemists, witches, and charlatans who sought to unravel the mysteries of the heart and bend them to their will. In shadowed taverns and hidden groves, new potions were brewed, promises whispered of eternal devotion, but beneath the seductive allure lurked the same venomous curse that had undone the Baron and shattered Isolde's world. Thus, the legend of the medieval love potions grew, a haunting tale of desire entwined with death, of hope crushed beneath the weight of poison and paranoia. It was a world where love could kill, where a single sip sealed a fate worse than death, and where the line between healer and destroyer was as thin and fragile as a spider's web. And yet, the true horror was not in the potions themselves, but in the desperation that drove human hearts to drink them, to gamble their souls on the cruel promise of affection, knowing full well that the price could be madness, agony, and an unmarked grave beneath cold, uncaring earth. As the seasons turned, the Baron's body withered, ravaged by the venomous concoctions that had been forced upon him under the guise of love. His once commanding presence faded into a ghostly silhouette, the light behind his eyes extinguished by the torment that consumed both flesh and mind. He lay bedridden, a husk of the man he had been, his breaths shallow whispers of despair, his every movement a symphony of suffering. The castle itself seemed to mourn, its halls drenched in a silence, heavy with the weight of sorrow and dread. Lady Isolde, once the vibrant jewel of the court, now wandered those same halls like a spectre, her heart fractured by guilt and isolation. The noblewomen who had once admired her now avoided her gaze, their whispered scorn sharper than any dagger. Even the servants, bound by duty, whispered behind trembling hands of the cursed lady who had doomed her husband with poison disguised as love. Her reputation lay in ruins, a carcass picked clean by the vultures of rumor and suspicion. Yet, within this crucible of despair, darker forces stirred. The Baron's trusted advisor, a man cloaked in ambition and guile, began to weave a web of treachery that threatened to consume the last vestiges of Isolde's fragile existence. Envious of the Baron's power and resentful of Isolde's perceived role in his decline, the advisor conspired with rival houses, whispering lies and stoking the flames of hatred. The court became a theater of shadows, where alliances shifted like sand, and trust was a currency more precious than gold. One storm-ravaged night, as thunder shattered the sky and lightning danced across the blackened heavens, the Baron's chamber became the stage for a final, cruel act. The advisor, under cover of darkness, administered a fatal dose of poison this time. No disguise, no pretense of love, but a swift and merciless end. The Baron's tortured eyes met Isolde's one last time, a silent plea for forgiveness that would echo through eternity. In the wake of the Baron's death, Isolde's world collapsed into a pit of despair deeper than any grave. The court turned its back, branding her a witch, a poisoner, a harbinger of doom. Her trial was swift and merciless, a spectacle of cruelty cloaked in the guise of justice. Witnesses, coerced and broken, recited fabricated tales of dark rituals and infernal pacts. The bishop presided with cold zeal, his sermons a litany of condemnation that echoed through the stone chambers like a death knell. Despite her pleas and the silent torment in her eyes, Isolde was condemned to a fate as brutal as the poison that had destroyed her love. Bound in chains and shrouded in tattered robes, she was led to the funeral pyre that promised neither peace nor release, but only the agonizing embrace of flame. As the fire roared to life, consuming flesh and spirit alike, the last cries of Lady Isolde mingled with the crackling blaze, a haunting dirge for a love twisted by fear, betrayal, and poison. Yet, even as her body turned to ash, the legend of the poisoned love potions endured. In the taverns and alleyways far from the castle's cold stones, her name became a whispered warning, a cautionary tale of desire's darkest price. Alchemists and charlatans traded in the secrets of the elixirs, their potions promising eternal love, but delivering madness and death. And in the shadows, Brother Malachi, if he still lived, remained a figure of mystery and dread, his legacy entwined with the suffering of those who sought to command love through unnatural means. The lines between healer and poisoner blurred until indistinguishable, and the thirst for control over the human heart drove men and women alike to ruin. Thus, the story of Lady Isolde and the poisoned love potions became a dark chapter etched into the annals of forgotten history, a testament to the perils of tampering with the forces of affection and the cruel fates that await those who dare to seize the heart by force. The castle, now a ruin swallowed by time and shadow, stands as a silent monument to love's ruin, where every stone whispers the tragedy of a passion poisoned and a soul condemned. The ruins of the castle, long swallowed by the creeping ivy and the relentless march of time, became a silent witness to the horrors that once unfolded within its walls. Travelers and peasants spoke in hushed tones of ghostly wails carried by the wind, of shadows that flitted through broken windows, and of a sorrow so deep that even the stones seemed to weep. Yet none dared approach too closely, for the air was thick with the residue of anguish, a palpable chill that gnawed at the soul. Centuries passed, but the tale of Lady Isolde and her poisoned love potions did not fade. Instead, it seeped into the collective memory of the land, whispered from one generation to the next, like a cautionary hymn. Mothers warned their daughters against trusting charmers and sweet words, reminding them of the peril that lurked beneath the veneer of affection. Scholars debated the nature of love and its alchemical manipulation, pondering the dark science that had ensnared the Baron and his doomed bride. In the shadows of history, the figure of Brother Malachi grew into myth, part healer, part devil. Some claimed he had mastered forbidden arts, others that he was a pawn of darker powers, but all agreed his hands were stained with the blood of those who sought unnatural dominion over the heart. The whispers told of a grim laboratory hidden beneath the castle ruins, where bottles stained with dried blood and powders of arcane origin lay forgotten, waiting to unleash their curses anew. But the true horror was not in the potions themselves, nor in the broken bodies they left behind. It was in the insidious lesson etched into the very fabric of human desire, the knowledge that love, pure and sacred, could be corrupted by fear and obsession. The Baron and Lady Isolde's tragic end was a mirror, reflecting the perilous path of those who seek to bend fate and affection to their will, only to find themselves consumed by the very darkness they hoped to control. In this bitter legacy, the castle's story serves as a timeless reminder that the heart, fragile and wild, cannot be tamed by potions or promises. It is a force both beautiful and terrible, demanding respect and humility, warning all who dare to play its master that love coerced is love lost, and that the poison of obsession inevitably devours all in its path. Thus, beneath the shroud of history and legend, the echo of Lady Isolde's fate lingers, a haunting melody of love, turned to ash, a testament to the ruin that awaits when the human soul is ensnared by darkness disguised as devotion. And somewhere, in the deepest shadows, the memory of Brother Malachi endures, a grim spectre whose sinister craft forever haunts the line between love's promise and love's demise.